Game here. Eamon's team won the last one. Here's Dan Henry with the basketball. It's Henry.
Looks like the new team is going to be Steve and Brett together. So Brett, Steve, and Henry.
Okay, here's
No Greg. No Henry. It is Henry.
here's
Brett with the
Brett with a
bat and
make.
hook
Brett
shot.
makes the basket.
Oh, it's Greg. It's Brett, Greg, and Steve versus
Here's
Bob,
Dan with the ball
Dan,
now.
and
Bob.
John.
Dan gives it to Bob. Bob's long shot, no good. It's rebounded by Dan Henry, who misses. Brett with a rebound. Brett over to Steve. Steve to Greg. Greg baseline jumper, no good. Rebounded by John. Now John goes the other way. Now stolen by Steve. Now Steve's gonna give it. He's gonna score. Nice layup there by Steve.
First
Now
points to Steve for the season.
Dan Henry with the ball.
Congratulations, Steve.
Gives it to John. John guarded by Brett. John still with the basketball. He gives it out top to Henry. Henry gets it into Bob. Bob's turnaround bank shot is good. Here's Greg now with the basketball. We go the other way. Greg dribbles, guarded by Dan. Greg still dribbling. There's no timeline violation. Here's Steve with an outside shot. It is no good. Rebounded by Greg. Greg hits the ground. Wow, tough break for Greg. Greg passed it out to Brett, but Brett couldn't hold on to it. It goes out of bounds, turnover. Here's Dan Henry with the ball. Dan over to a wide open John, who jams. Where was the defense there? Okay, here's Greg with the basketball now. Greg dribbles. He dribbles left side, guarded by Dan. Greg now dribbling. He gets a screen from Steve. Greg with a long shot, no good. Ball, great effort by Brett to save that basketball.
Wow, that was like a front flip save.
My goodness, excellent job there.
For some
And
reason,
we got a
faded.
switch. Okay, I guess we go to another game now. Here's John. He makes a shot,
Same game.
or does he?
Same game.
The same game. Okay, Brett's shot is no good, but Greg's shot is. Greg makes it. Okay, Dan with the basketball now. Dan, his shot is no good. Brett with a rebound. Brett dribbling the other way. Brett
we're in
dribbles.
fast
His shot
motion.
off the backboard is good.
Seems like we're in fast motion, or maybe.
Here we go the other way now. John with a basketball. John shoots. His outside shot no good, but Dan Henry is there to get the rebound, put it in. Where was the block out? Here's Steve now with the basketball coming the other way. Steve dribbles, guarded by John. Steve into Brett. Brett's shot no good. Rebounded Bob. Bob with the basketball now, coming the other way.
Bob and Brett have had some excellent battles.
Yes, they have. Now John has it. John, his layup is good. John takes it to the basket and scores.
John's having a pretty
Greg
good day today.
out to Steve. Steve out to. Okay, we got a stoppage of play here.
Steve must have had some
Ball-
kind of a problem there.
Ball go out of bounds or. Okay, here we go. Turnover, actually. Okay, here's John with the basketball now. John's shot no good, but Bob gets the rebound. Bob puts it up, no good. Rebounded, taken away by Brett. Brett going the other way. Brett behind the back pass to Greg. Greg shot no good. Rebounded Bob. Bob going the other way now. Bob gonna guarded by Steve. Now Bob out to John. John stolen by Brett. Now Brett's shot off the backboard, good.
Wow. Brett has a lot of points today.
Now we go the other way now. Here's John with the basketball.
6 games he's had a lot of
John
points.
to Bob. Bob guarded by Brett. Bob going to try a shot, no good. Now
up in
rebounded
John.
by John. John shakes an outside shot. It's no good. Rebounded Greg. Taken away by Greg. We go the other way. Greg fakes. He puts a shot off the backboard. No good. His ball's tipped around. Greg gets the rebound. Greg throws it off the foot of Dan Henry. But it somehow remains. He gets it to Greg. Now Steve tries to save it. He does save it to Greg.
Good job
Greg
by
shoots
Steve
the ball
there.
again. Blocked by John.
Everyone likes playing against.
Some very fast-paced games. Fast-paced game here.
It really
okay.
is.
Greg bounced pass to Brett. Brett shot air ball, but rebounded by Greg. Now Steve with the ball. Steve makes an outside shot. Steve makes the basket. He shoots the outside shot and makes it. Here's Bob with the basketball now. Bob left side to John. John guarded by Steve. Back out top of the key to Dan. Almost loses it, does Dan, but Dan maintains it. Now Dan dribbles. He dribbles left side. He shoots up a shot, no good. But John is there to put it in. No block out.
John's had a lot of rebounds this today.
Here's Steve with the basketball. Steve bounce pass to Greg, guarded by Dan. Greg post up. Now behind the bounce pass into Steve is Steve gets it back out to Greg.
And
Steve was caught in no man's land
steps
there.
out of
Now
bounds.
Greg steps out of bounds. Okay, here's Bob with the basketball.
They're
We
going to
come the
have
other
to
way.
play a lot smarter to win this game.
Bob, John, and Dan with the ball. Here's Dan Henry, top of the key.
Another
Bob
pretty
bounce
good team
pass
right
to John, back out to Henry. Henry fakes. He shoots. It's no good. Rebounded Brett. Douglas the other way.
Oh,
Stolen by
geez.
Bob. Bob's short shot is good.
You know,
Nice defense there.
The rebounds don't count if you're going to just give it to the other team.
Here's Greg over to Steve. Steve dribbles across the timeline, guarded by John. Now Steve is going to bounce pass right side to Greg. Greg shot no good. Greg tries to chase it down, but it goes out of bounds.
Well,
I think it's going to stay with
good effort by
Greg's
Greg
team.
following that shot.
I think Henry tried to get it, but couldn't hold on to it.
Oh,
Here's Steve
Brett
with the basketball
wants it
now.
down low.
And now a nice pass to Brett, who scores.
Domination.
Probably, who cares?
Here's Bob now with the basketball.
Score, 8-8.
Bob dribbles left side to John. John puts the ball behind his back, and now he waits and just takes a long shot. No good. Rebounded Brett. Brett driving the other way now. His shot is up the backboard and in. Beautiful shot by Brett Douglas.
Brett just gets the rebound, runs down, and
Henry
banks
now
it.
down the way. His shot is no good.
Shot.
And rebound taken away by Steve. Here's Steve with the basketball now. Steve dribbles left side into Brett. Brett, his shot is no good off the backboard, but John gets the rebound, gets it to Henry. Henry's outside shot is good.
Great shot by Henry right there.
And now
I think it was
Greg-
a three-pointer.
Greg the other way. Greg's going to go by Dan Henry. His reverse layup is good.
And by Bob.
Nice penetration from Greg. And here's John with the basketball now. We come
You
the other way.
like Greg?
Yes, I do. John with the basketball. A bounce pass to Bob. Bob guarded by Brett. Bob, his jump shot is no good. Rebounded Henry. Henry's shot is no good. Rebounded John. His shot is no good.
Wow, three
Picked up
misses.
by Steve. Steve, stolen by Bob. Bob's gives it to John. John's layup no good.
Oh.
Steve with a rebound.
They
We
had a
come the
lot
other
of
way now.
chances right there.
Here's Steve with the basketball over to Greg. Greg bounced pass to Brett. Brett's shot off the backboard and in.
Oh, big time.
Brett having himself a
I told you, man. Is that game?